Is it going? Is it going? Is it going? And there it is. It's here. Good morning, good morning, good morning again. Phone lines open today, 16 minutes past 8 o'clock hour at 252-407-8432. That's 252-407-8432. It is WNCR-TV Now, news, opinions, and weather. We'll talk about this, we'll talk about that, and of course, more people are putting their names in a hat for possibilities of running for particular offices, and so kudos to all of those individuals who are seeking public office. It's always great to see people wanting to be involved to give their perspective and perhaps even get elected and make a difference in the communities in which they are serving. Okay, so let's see here. Of course, there's been one vote after another on amendments in the United States Congress as they are looking to see what in the world are they going to do with this big, beautiful bill. Good Tuesday. Let me share my Facebook Live video. You too can do the same thing. Good Tuesday morning. Bam. Just like that. Just like that. Just like that. Also, those who know Elder Kevin Yellowday, he passed away on yesterday, and so there's been a number of tributes to him on social media. His involvement with Greater Joy, Rocky Mount, Greater Joy North, and just all those who know Kevin Yellowday. Again, he passed away. Condolences to the family, friends, and all those who crossed paths with him over their lifespan. I'll do one more thing here. I'm going to do it here. Okay. So want to also, let me see if I can get this. Matter of fact, I'm going to post it on our Facebook page. Thusly, it will post on the screen here. In fact, I'm going to post it on the WNCR TV page. Let me see here. Let me download it first. Download it. It's downloaded. And now let me make a post. One day at a time. All right, so got that. Y'all saw my little, gave me some operating music while I was doing that. Get this on the screen here. Let's see, come on. In the room. Everything will be a song there, I guess, for me. I don't know what in the world is going on with me this morning. Make a full screen here. Blow it up, blow it up, blow it up. Okay, that's as far as it's going to be blowed up. How about that? It is the third annual WNCR Meet and Greet Luncheon. It's going to be held on July the 12th, 2025 from 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. That's going to be at Pop's Diner, downtown Rocky Mount, 132 South Church Street. So you are invited. Again, it's going to be the third annual WNCR TV Now Meet and Greet Luncheon on July the 12th, 2025 from 11:30 until 1:30. That is a Saturday. Again, it's at 132 South Church Street in Rocky Mount, North Carolina at Pop's Diner. So look forward to seeing all of your beautiful faces there. We're going to have a limited brunch style menu there. There's going to be chicken and waffles and some sides. And that's pretty much what it'll be on that day. Some coffee, some orange juice, and things of that nature is what we will have on that Saturday. So it's not this Saturday, but the following Saturday. We'll be there at Pop's Diner again for the third annual WNCR luncheon from 11:30 until 1:30. It's a good little time of fellowship, and so look forward to seeing everybody's beautiful face yet again at the WNCR TV luncheon. 21 minutes past 8 o'clock hour this morning, 21 minutes past the 8 o'clock hour. And Good morning to Lucy Boyer, who's tuned in this morning. Good morning to Alice Bailey as well. And yes, it is the first day of July. Man, time has been flying. It's waiting for no one. And before you know it, we'll be talking about 2026 and talking about all those folks who are going to be running for public office. I saw where Dr. Kimberly Hardy has made her announcement that she's running for Congress down there in Fayetteville in the Wilmington area there. And so that election or filing period for those elections is going to be in December. In December is going to be the filing period for the midterm elections. And so we'll see how that works across this country. We've seen a number of things going on now in the United States Senate and the United States Congress and the office of the president. And so we'll see how Americans respond to it. There will be an indicator. Are they continuing to enjoy what is going on nationally, or do they want to change the legislative body in Washington, D.C.? Do they want to change the legislative body in North Carolina? And what impact does gerrymandered districts have on that? And I'll say this, one of the best contributors to defeating a gerrymandered district, depending on how severely gerrymandered it is actually voting for common sense. And I think that oftentimes we just don't have common sense in public office. And I think that is where there's a lot of disconnect. And so because the things that are voted on or talked about are nonsensical, then they become extremely polarized. And we find ourselves where we are. We find ourselves where we are. So that's something to certainly think about as we, again, navigate through this thing called life in the United States of America. Good morning also to Betty Jenkins, James Bullock, Susan Vick, Irma Maxwell. We thank you for tuning in to Wncr-Tv Now as we continue to talk about things, again, impacting our state, our city, and our nation. I did go down to the redistricting meeting on last evening. And, I'm going to share this. Well, anyway, I was going to, and I can share this picture. But anyway, I think it does kind of, I'm going to do this. All right. So I went down to the redistricting meeting. It was the last one of the 4 meetings that the Edgecombe County Public School System had. And in that meeting, a number of residents, once again, and some who didn't speak before, spoke in support and in favor of option 3 for the districts for the Edgecombe County Public Schools. Edgecombe County Public Schools elected body gave the residents of Edgecombe County 2 maps to choose from, either option C or option D2. Option D2 option D, let's go there first, was a map that was aligned with the districts of Edgecombe County Commissioners. There was just a duplication of those districts. In option D2, they found that it would cause elected members to run against each other. And so therefore they rearranged the district lines so that the incumbents wouldn't have to run against each other, with all 7 of them would be in individual districts, similar for the most part to the county commissioners' districts. That's option D2. Option C is a map that, again, had by and large community support, from my understanding, from at least all 4 meetings and public conversation at the school board meetings themselves. And there is a map that really looked at trying to keep precincts whole as much as possible, and in particularly in the Rocky Mount area, which is the newest addition to the Edgecombe County Public Schools. Good morning also to Gloria Brake, Vernice Harris, and Allison Williams. Thank you, Gwendolyn Swain, for tuning in as well. And so that is what the Candy State, good morning to, that is what the map C is doing. And so we'll see when the Edgecombe County Board of Education take up the vote, will they in fact vote for option D2 or option C. If they go with what the community has spoken about, it would be a no-brainer, easy vote. Everybody's hearts and minds should be clear on option C. However, they have the wherewithal to do whatever they choose to vote in the upcoming meeting. What I will say is that either way the map goes, there's going to be new territory associated with the Edgecombe County Public Schools, which means that most likely there will probably be a new board member to the district if somebody in the East Rocky Mount decides they want to participate in the school board administration and seek office in Edgecombe County Public Schools. Whether they do it from option D2 or whether they do it from option C, it's going to be an interesting election. Now, to that point, I've got to be sure that those seats are up for election, because they didn't do what Rocky Mount, Nash County Public Schools did. Nash County Public Schools elected all new board members. Every last one of them are new board members. Edgecombe County is going with the frame of thought that we're just going to elect the ones that were up for election, those district members that were up for election, which not sure. So what happened with Nash County? So they say, well, if we do just the particular ones up, then everybody term be the same. That's not what would happen. What happened with Nash County Public Schools is they elected all new board members. Some were elected for a 2-year term because they kept the same stagnation in place, and others were elected for a whole 4-year term the last time they ran. So which means that some folks will be running again next year for the school board seat to have a full term. And so that is how, you create a situation in which any of those who are impacted by the redistricting will get an opportunity to be on the ballot again. But again, I think they're only electing 3 or 4 seats there next year in Edgecombe County Public Schools. I have to go back and look at that data there for that to be the absolute truth. But we'll see how that all unfolds. Again, last night, though, going back to the meeting, was the first time that I have been at a meeting, and I only went to 2 of the 4. But it was made comment for those who've been to all 4 and said that no one, with the exception of the meeting last night, recommended option D2 in a public forum. And that those people who did recommend option D2 by the end of the meeting were nowhere to be found. And so then they questioned their commitment to the process, for one, versus those individuals who supported the option of C and continued their way through the remainder of the meeting. So, I mean, I think that is some consideration to think about as well. And one of the thought processes or conversation that was had in around the maps was that this is cut off, this is that, or this community's not whole and whatever. I really don't really care how maps are drawn. You're not going to be able to have them 100% where they're all equally community involved or things of that nature. And if you talk about the wideness of one map to another, oftentimes it will have the whole community. At one point, I will say that Other Woodard made, who's a councilman for the town of Tarboro, he said, you know what, in Tarboro, they believe it's a different Edgecombe County compared to Edgecombe County Rocky Mount. And said that with this map, it's going to make Rocky Mount folks have to work with Tarboro folks and understand we're all one Edgecombe County. So I thought that was a very good piece to kind of mention at that meeting. And maybe, hey, Carla, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Bronson.
Good morning.
To the best of my knowledge, I haven't been that involved with the redistricting. But when they did the school demerge, to me, this should have been a part of it also. And perhaps it still is a part of it. They just broke it into sections. But if you want all of Edgecombe County schools residents to be together as far as schools, it would make sense for them to vote on option C. And I don't see why they had to bring it to the public. It appears that if you want Edgecombe together with schools, just keep Edgecombe communities together. So when will they vote on this?
I think they may vote on at their next meeting, which would be the Monday after next.
Okay. But to me, it's common sense, to me. And I don't know about others, but that's the way I look at it. And to your question from yesterday, whether or not the vehicle was parked,
like what question?
It was parked correct.
Yeah.
Because the way the sign is, if you parked in front of the sign, you would be illegal. But if you parked past the sign, you're legal because of the way the arrow was. Mm-hmm. That's the way I look at it.
Absolutely.
But that's how I've always parked when I read the sign. If I pass the sign, I'm okay. But if I'm in front of the sign, I'm not okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. 252-407-8432. That's 252-407-8432 is the number to call to participate in today's conversation as we talk about things impacting our state, our city, and our nation. And again, the other piece is we talked about it yesterday. Tom Tillis is saying, hey, he's going to not be seeking re-election, and he went on that Senate floor to say what he needed to say. And the question is, how long has he been feeling that way about a number of things, right? Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. How you doing?
Doing well. Hope you are.
I'm calling in this morning because it's really concerning me that we are building internment camps to put people in. They showed it again on Sunday night about these people being put down in Florida somewhere, the Everglades, whatever that is, and all those alligators and big snakes, and they're saying, well, they won't be able to leave here, cross this river. But if they do it to these people, that's what concerns me. If you can do it to somebody else, you can do it to other people. Mm-hmm. And you talk about 60,000 people, and you're going to just go out there and dump them people out there in that area. It makes my mind go back, even though I wasn't back there in that time, but I have talked to old people, and it haven't been that long. My dad was a sharecropper. So people think it's been a long time since this stuff happened. You remember when, I think it was World War II or whenever it was, and they put all the Japanese people in those camps? Mm-hmm. You remember that?
Yeah, absolutely.
But when you start doing stuff like this, then what happened? Here come another something else. And people better start being concerned. The government, we don't have no say-so now at all. Mm-hmm. Look at that big, beautiful bill they're trying to pass up there. And then last night on the news was talking about they going to start sending out letters where they overpaid people Social Security. You ain't getting that much now. So you have to pay back from their mistake. It wasn't ours. It was yours. Same thing, I'm just amazed that you make the mistake, but the people got to pay for it. Mm-hmm. Okay, we supposed to be getting the budget, straight, but then you're going to have all these trillions of dollars over. Don't we borrow this money from China?
And everywhere, absolutely.
And we got nerve to talk junk to these people. Come on. we're not going to be, people keep saying this is the greatest nation in the world. We're going to be the brokest nation in the world. And you just think about how many people is losing their jobs around here. Now, from what I was told yesterday, Pfizer walked out about 200 people yesterday. That's a lot of jobs. That's a lot of homes that you ain't going to be able to afford.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
That's right.
People don't look at the big picture, Mr. Bronson, that when you hurt this area, you hurt in the restaurants, you hurt in the other stores, you hurt in so many other areas, not just one. If I lose my job and I don't have any money coming in but my little, after they get there, whatever they're getting out there, come on. Mm-hmm. Think about when we lost QVC. My brother haven't found a job yet. I mean, he old enough to draw his Social Security, and they looking at people's age, too. A lot of people not getting rehired because of their age. I want a job because I'm not making that much money, but I can't find one because of my age. Mm-hmm. So we got to look at the big picture of what's going on. And I keep saying it, and I'm going to say it again. Why in the world can't Edgecombe County buy some land and do like the prep schools, grade 1 through 12? We did it when we grew up. We had schools 1 through 12. One big school, instead of trying to buy land and trying to be a 3 or 4 schools, build one. Have you ever heard a whole lot of problems with the young people, the little kids, and the bigger kids over at the prep school?
No.
Have you?
No.
Me either. And one of my grandchildren graduated this year from kindergarten all the way through. So that's what I'm saying. You try to tell these people something, but we the dumb people. They need to listen to someone else sometime. Your ideas ain't always the best ideas. Thank you.
Thank you. And on her latter part about the school consolidation, Edgecombe County Public Schools has been awarded a $62 million grant for a new North Edgecombe School of Innovation. And the grant is from North Carolina Department of Public Instruction. It will fund the consolidation of 3 existing schools into one K-12 campus in Leggett, North Carolina. The project includes renovating the North Edgecombe High School, building a new career tech facility, and creating a new pre-K through 8th campus. And so they actually are building a K-12 school system or school there in Leggett. And most likely, I would think that same type of model would come to Rocky Mount after they finish this particular project here. That Rocky Mount will probably see a K-12 campus as well versus a scattered, as your point, a scattered campus there. So that's, I'm sure, on the horizon for Rocky Mount as well, but they're doing it in Leggett with a $62 million grant they got from the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction. And my understanding is they say there's not enough money. They don't think. They say they're going to need some more money, so they're going to need county support to help finish that project. But they do have that, and I believe are underway on the preliminary process for the development and creation of a K-12 innovation center in Leggett, North Carolina. That's going to be a part of Edgecombe County Public Schools. Who else came in as well? Ray Darcher, good morning to you. Jacqueline Randolph, good morning to you as well. Thank you all for tuning in to Wncr-Tv Now as we continue to talk about things impacting our state, our city, and our nation. Not sure how long the sentences are. Concentration camps and internment camps. He better wake up. We give at least $2-3 billion every year if he has King College. Oh, so yeah, and talking about the national debt for America and who holds these bonds, about 70% of the U.S. debt is actually in the United States of America, and so these corporations and hedge funds or whatever will buy these bonds, and so most of the money is borrowed from the citizens of America. About 30% of the debt is outside of foreign investors, including Japan and China, the UK, and etc., are institutions from that area who will buy U.S. debt. U.S. debt helps their economy, and they look at it as some guaranteed paybacks, because the U.S. is going to pay them back their money before they go belly up, so to speak. So about 30, and so perhaps that needs to be an effort to reduce that from 30 to maybe 25, and 25 to 20, and then start working your way back on debt. But that's clearly or currently what it is for the United States of America. So when you think about the trillions of dollars of money that's been owed out there, 70% of that trillion is actually from American folk. Hey, caller, good morning.
Mr. Brunson, I have the opportunity to sit around home and just listen to the news all the time, and I agree with Miss Common Sense. Yesterday they talked about Alligator Alley so much I was sick of it. And we are always talking about what's humane and what's inhumane. So my question this morning is it inhumane or humane to build a camp in such area if the alligators and snakes can get you when you get out? Can't they get you when you come in? What kind of barrier do you have? And that's my question. And they both of them can crawl, so how you gonna keep them out? And yesterday, while I had the pleasure of just listening to the news, I was listening to the story. I don't know where it was or when it happened. They had tried a young lady who had been repeatedly raped, which was sex trafficking by an individual. Well, one night he was sleeping and she killed him, and they charged her for it. And they went to court. However, the judge fined her with something, manslaughter or something. Anyway, she got to pay restitution to the family. Why? Some good Samaritan put up a GoFundMe page, and of course, the $132,000, I think it was, she has exceeded that through GoFundMe.
Okay. But
my question is, why is she being charged for someone of sex trafficking and repeated rape, and not only him but others? I guess that is sex trafficking, but I don't understand the definition of it. But nevertheless, I thought that was awful. Then they talked about Brett Favre. Have you read that story?
Mm-mm.
Well, anyway, it's something dealing with his daughter and some type of nonprofit he has, and he requested money from somebody. Anyway, it was involving food stamps, but they're trying to make Brett Favre look like he did absolutely nothing. But he did, based on the part I heard, but I can't tell the exact story. But he initiated the fraud. So I just don't understand why some people can get away with murder and others cannot. It's truly evident that Brett Favre had something to do with whatever was going on. But yet and still, when they looked at this little girl, and she was a minor, she was a runaway or something, but nevertheless, it just broke my heart to know that she would be charged with such, because she was trying to escape. And what he did to her was just not, something that we shouldn't stand for. But by them sentencing her with such high restitution, it was just so unfair to me. But Alligator Alley is coming to pass, like Ms. Common Sense said, and it's ridiculous that our government would allow such. Thank you so much.
Thank you. In fact, I think President Trump is supposed to visit Florida. Alligator Island. Today, the alligator Alcatraz is what it is. I saw something about it. Where is it at? Is it here? Yeah. President Trump plans to fly to Florida today to visit the site of the state's forthcoming ICE detention center, nicknamed Alligator Alcatraz. The temporary camp will soon house 5,000 immigrants in tents on a little-used airstrip in the Everglades. Plans to build a facility have been met with fierce criticism from immigration and environmental advocacy groups, many of whom took part of protests over the weekend. It's just not going to work, especially in the middle of the summer in the Everglades, said Thomas Kennedy, spokesman for Florida Immigration Coalition. It's actually quite cruel and inhumane, and I think it's designed that way. So you'll see what will go on with that. But again, when you talk about humanity humanity and folk, sometimes they are polar opposite. Polar opposite. I see they've got a clip of Senator Tom Tillis waving and blowing a kiss at someone in the gallery from the Senate on whichever day that this particularly was. It'll be interesting if Tom Tillis be like, "Hi, June fools, I'm actually running again." Running with a conscience. That would be interesting. Running with a conscience. That what if politicians actually did that? I think we would be in a better situation. One thing we do want to kind of maybe try to figure out to get an update on is Natron Energy, who was poised to invest $1.5 billion in Edgecombe County at the old QVC location, or somewhere thereabout. We really haven't heard much more about that, and so it's going to be interesting to see where they are with that situation, and how that all will unfold there as well. I know back in December they had some change in their management, and so I do hope that with the change of management they continue to have that project. We do know with the change of management in CSX, it caused that project to be downsized, because remember the whole intermodal project was going to be this huge project and end up being what it is today. While we're grateful and appreciative of any development in Edgecombe County, we hope that that will still make its way and add $3 billion to the, I say North America, which I guess that's still true too, but the United States of America, and particularly North Carolina's tax base, and so we just hope that will be the case. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Well, how are you doing?
I'm
today?
well. How are you? Happy July to you.
It is July. It is July. Happy July to you as well. What's happening with you?
Ready for some hot weather today.
It's supposed to be. I was going to look at the weather today, and I did not do it. It's supposed to be extremely hot again.
Yeah, I think it's going to cool down sometime tomorrow, but
it is some rain in the forecast. Yeah. That's good. Highs near 91 degrees today with 30% chance of rain, and then for Wednesday, highs near 81, which is great, with the 85% of rain and thunderstorms as well. It is going to be another hot day, but not as hot as the 96 and the 100-degree temperature we saw.
Oh man, that was crazy.
Yeah, it still is. I think I'm still feeling the heat today. In fact, when the AC went out, that's when the AC went out. When the heat went up, the AC went out.
It always happens, right?
And you got to call all these folks to go fix this. They charge your arm and a leg, and
it can't match the heat.
Yeah. So we're still hopeful, but the federal government take on energy projects is not on a high level for everyone right now. Keep praying. We need this project. Okay, so that's so it is some subsidy, I guess they may be waiting for. I saw $30 million in subsidy from the state, and perhaps and this big beautiful bill may not be a help to that project either. So that's going to be interesting. When you start thinking about the impacts of
if
what
you got to call it
doing.
that, it's not that.
A big beautiful bill.
Yeah, if you got to name it that,
it's amazing.
Not.
it's amazing.
If you gotta say you're nice, you're not nice. If you,
I'm a really nice person.
I'm just saying. Yeah. I've learned in my years that you don't have to say, you just do.
Yeah, like I'm a really mean person, so I just do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. 51 minutes past 8 o'clock hour this morning. Any trips for you? Because you be jet
Well, you know, of course,
selling.
I just got back from Dallas, the Good
Yeah,
Soil, with Bishop T.D. Jakes a couple of weeks ago.
I'm sure you're flying off
And
probably
the
today
Stellas
somewhere.
the Stellas is in August, so I may go there.
Back in Nashville, Tennessee.
The 40th. It's the
Yeah.
40th year.
I wonder why they moving back there.
I guess I don't know. It's interesting, but it's not in the Opry. It's in
I
the,
saw that.
so
I saw that.
that should be interesting
The Opry didn't want him there, I think.
because they was playing that Prince.
They ain't now a Prince. Yes, sir. I mean, what? So I went there, maybe 9 years it was at the
Yeah.
the opera. And so I didn't think it was costly, the cost associated with it. And the ticket sales weren't as great. But I thought I said ticket sales weren't great in Vegas either, though.
No, the ticket sales. I mean, you have a bigger venue in Vegas, so
Okay.
it looks like you're not.
Okay. I said the big joke. That's what the bill is, the big joke.
The big joke.
The big joke bill.
Ain't nobody laughing.
Somebody is. And then for somebody to benefit from that bill is what's crazy, because somebody's there advocating for this, that, and third. It's for their own personal benefit, their family's benefit. And meanwhile, the individuals who suffer are rural healthcare hospitals. And so, that lets you know you didn't think about rural communities when you got to go try to add an amendment that's going to add $25 billion to rural healthcare.
And I think that's what Tom Tillis, bless his heart. I think that's what he was thinking of, because North Carolina is nothing but that, in areas. So
yeah. Once you stop at Greenville, what's the next hospital till you get to Wilmington or I guess Virginia?
Yeah, some people have to go there.
Because where the people in Dare County, they got Carteret. That's down south though. But yeah.
Are you thinking about some of those little med places now are popping up, but they can only do but so much.
Yeah. I always make you wonder, is it population control? Because America's had a history of trying to do different things with population control. Mm-hmm. And America is very concerned about the direction of the country when it comes to anticipated population growth. And so
America is concerned.
America's been concerned about
people.
Population control. That America is the folks that they vote into office. So I think that people, whether they stay home and not vote, they're still voting. Whether they go to the polls and vote, they're voting. And so when they vote for people who brand this idea of ending things like one lady said at the meeting last night, taught about, since the new administration, you can't really say words like diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so it was talking about fair maps and inclusive maps and equitable maps and this, that, and the third. And said those words were banned. So why are we talking about them now? And not saying that map option C is not that type of map, but was suggesting. And the only takeaway.
What's the fear in that?
The fear
saying
what?
Those words.
Well, you have an administration and folks who voted for administration who believe that people don't work hard to get what they've got. That it was given to them only because of programs and policies in place that made you have to give it to them versus they earned it. And so therefore,
so basically they don't want themselves to be exposed because most of everything that they have, they're entitled to.
And people who make the laws,
yeah,
they're entitled to. So I guess so. And again, it's the reverse on it. They'll say, hey, the diversity, equity, and inclusion create entitlement that you're supposed to give me this and give me that and not work for it. And again,
you were given this radio station.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Given the radio station, given the television station. People said that. Mm-hmm. And all the times it is folks that look like me that will, some of the biggest.
Which we don't talk about that part of.
What's that?
People that look like us will say those same things.
Yeah. And so if you want to tear down a black man or black woman, just look at other black men or black women who will make it their business there are people parties who will watch this program and will look for any type of negative they can find and say, well, why is he talking about this? Why is he doing this or this, that, and third? Don't live your life that way. Go do something and be great. Okay,
Go be great.
Go be great.
You know, it's amazing that people don't know that they are negative until they know that they're negative, right? You don't know that you're negative. You think that that's your norm, right? But until you have a change of heart or mind, you renew your mind, then you be like, oh man, I was negative. I was always talking about the gray sky instead of the blue sky.
And then I guess, and then I heard in my head, Jose, well, Bronson didn't talk about folk too, talk about it. He negative. And so what I hope to do is bring out conversational pieces to give people things to think about.
Yes.
And not how to think. Oftentimes, I think we have been in a situation where people have essentially told people how you should feel about a person, how you should feel about this issue, versus here are the facts. Here's your your lived experience. What do you think? We don't really ask people.
Well, yeah, critical thinking skills aren't looked upon as a thing. It's looked upon as being woke.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that at one day, if we could use the energy of hatred, the energy of jealousy, the energy of being envious, or any of these things, and do a total 180 and use that for some positive generation of really building up neighborhoods, communities, and families, I think we'll be in a better situation.
Yeah.
It's
getting there.
You think so?
I do. I think that the more and more we are exposed to what the world that we're living in now, I think people see that this ain't it. I think that they feel like we, how do we get back to a more civilized country?
And what does that actually mean? Because
it's gonna look new. It's gonna look like something we probably haven't ever seen. Sometimes when you go through changes, you go through different things, you have to create something new. You can't
I'm
go
glad you
back.
said new, because you said back. I'm like, wait.
You can't go back to the
Okay.
past, of course. I mean, we
Okay.
can enjoy the great things that happen. We can also enjoy the bad things that happen. And because the bad things that happen should always expose some type of greatness that's in all of us.
Yeah, that's true. Now that's something I live by. That a lot of times people will say, "Oh, he's defeated," or you weren't successful in this, or this didn't work. But I was talking to my granddad, and somebody he's been this money here, I say that's just paying for college education, right? And so oftentimes people are so afraid to fail that they never get up and try.
Yeah.
And many a times, those people who are afraid to fail are the same people who antagonize those who are trying to do something, because that fear is projected in hatred. That fear is projected, it won't work. That fear is projected in it'll always be what it's always been type situation. And it is the fear that people are afraid to take that jump, as Steve Harvey once said one day, that, really saying, I'm going to do this.
Yeah. And this morning I was watching I think it was like a TikTok or Instagram, where this little baby was on the couch and he had a trampoline next to the couch, and he kept counting like he was going to jump from the couch to the trampoline. Yeah. But he never would do it, because he was like, oh, wait, 1, then he would go 2, then he would go back to 2, 3. But finally, when he did it, he jumped from the couch to the trampoline. He made it. Yeah. Sometimes you can jump from your couch to, metaphorically speaking, to the trampoline, and you're going to make it. But guess what? If you fall, guess what? You're going to learn from that lesson. You're going to learn
what can I do differently.
Yeah. And of course, it may cause some hurt. It may cause some rejection. But of course, you always have a lesson learned, and you have something that you can share with others. I think the testimony behind you being able to share, because, if we all stay on the couch, we're not going to jump nowhere.
Yeah. As you're talking, we don't get the lesson. That's the crazy thing. We don't get the lesson because we're not jumping. We're not having that defeat moment. So we're not figuring out how to build for that. So therefore, we don't know that we can start from the bottom again. And that's why there are some people who you'll see will go broke because guess what? They've been broke before. And they
Our
know,
president.
well, I know. And so they know, though, how to move from that broken state back to a successful state.
Yeah, and that's what he's built his whole career on and success on. And you can't, certain things about this whole person, you cannot neglect. You can't say, there's some bad things, there's some good points, there's some good in everybody. However, I think that you always say it, absolute power corrupts.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
So you have to be careful. But, one thing about it is you got to know who you are. You got to have your own identity. At the end of the day, you got to know who you are, and you can't let other people define who you are. So many people allow what they do define them. So many people allow who they are, who they hang around to define them. So when they get away from all that, I'm like, who am I? I don't even know who I am because I've allowed so many people around me to define who I am. And that's why we have to know how God created us, what God made us to be, and that God has a plan and a purpose for us, Bronson. Because if we don't do that, we're just going to be still on the couch waiting for that one day to jump.
Part. And you talk about letting others define you. I too believe in my non-psychological and psychiatry and all that kind of stuff, right? Degree that I don't have. Is
that one class, that one-on-one class.
Yeah, there you go. That one class I took. Is that when you allow others to define you, I think that it's easier for you to slip into a depression. It's easier for you to have that self-doubt. It's easier for you to feel as though you're not good enough because you have been living up to everybody else's standards, i.e. somebody tell you that you can only run 10 miles an hour. And so you conform to that 10 miles, not knowing that you got strength to go 15 miles per hour, right? In your running ability. But because you have allowed people to stagnate you, oftentimes people will stagnate you to a position to keep them superior. Because the ideal is I've got to always have the one up on you. And that is a horrible place to be as well. So I certainly encourage people through this program and whatever else I may do in the community, don't be defined by others. I think if anything, people may say that Bronson is whatever, hard-headed, think you know it all.
Oh, my God. Let me add some adjectives.
Go ahead. Talk about that. Let's talk about it. But there's one thing that I have learned early on is not to be defined by what others say that you cannot do or what you should do and this, that, and third. I think you do have to respect societal norms. Right. So if you're going to be a member of society, there are some things you're going to say, OK, I'll accept that as a societal norm. While I disagree with it, I'll participate in because it's a societal norm that we are supposed to do A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, whatever those things are. That is keeping reasonable minded people together. Right. So there's no discourse and unnecessary tantrums and issues. Right. But sometimes people just, I don't care. I'm just going to, and again, when those things are done from a traditional standpoint and you don't really know the why, then I get the reason why you decide to tear that up and make people help you understand why this is, why we do this the way we do it. And you know what? You help open up our eyes. And oftentimes that individual who will go there and tear it up, they're known as the Tasmanian devil, right? But really, that person could also help you open up your eyes to a new situation. Here we are, i.e., in our community, a city of Rocky Mount. And I do believe that Rocky Mount should be at a further position than where it is right now.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think it is because we have gotten set in our ways. We have preferred consistency versus the testing and strengthening and expanding of our minds and desires for following plans and things of this nature. And so we find ourselves where we are. But it does not mean that we have to stay in our current situation. Yeah.
I think that we got caught up in being on the couch and not jumping. I think we got comfortable in oh, this is good for us. In the 80s, when was it? The 90s, the city on the rise. Everything was growing. We had Golden East Mall. We had stores. And everybody was coming to Rocky Mount. And then we got comfortable in that.
Yeah.
And now it's like, okay, if you don't maintain what we were rising, it's gonna just go away. It's gonna vanish because you're not maintaining. That's where anything, if you don't maintain, it's just gonna vanish and go away.
Yeah, you think about when Rocky Mount got Abbott's Laboratory many years ago, right? Where was the leadership then to say, let's attract some more pharmaceutical places in our city, right? Because if Abbott's can find good quality workers here, so can Merck Pharmaceutical, so can Sandoz, so can
people
all
were
these other
moving
places.
from Chicago to Rocky Mount
Sure.
just to work at Abbott's. I mean, think about that.
And why didn't we? GlaxoSmithKline or whatever it is, right? And so the deal is, I think we will build one building and we'll say, okay, we've accomplished that. Let's go find something else. Before you know it, you got all this scattered situation. So then when something happens, that's gone.
Yeah.
That's gone.
And when it vanished, the people that moved here from Chicago, went back to where, went somewhere else. They didn't stay. They had no reason to stay. It wasn't valued enough to stay. I'm
because
only
we
here
didn't
to
deal with
rent.
the quality of life. We didn't deal with our education system. We didn't deal with how do we keep taxes lower, keep utility costs lower. We didn't deal with how to make Rocky Mount a welcoming community so that people will want to stay, to your point, and build. And again, there are people who branch out and build buildings. I mean, from younger to older, they did it, right? Yeah, I think about the number of businesses that people retired from, that they started, right? But where is that spirit again?
Yeah.
And then if it exists, where is the spirit of support? Because no organization is successful without the support of others.
That's right.
Right. And so I think that is, again, I go back to, and I'm not picking on the Chamber of Commerce, but it is what it is. And I remember years ago when a Chamber of Commerce used their dollars versus having social events and promoting throughout the city, shop local, eat local, dine local, whatever, be local. We love rock, all these kind of things that reminded people on the emphasis of supporting local business. And so goes that message, so goes the action.
But so goes the businesses.
Exactly. It's all interconnected, right? And so that's why those things are important, that those things are continued, that messaging is I tell people who talk about advertising or will do something, don't advertise or whatever, I say, as big as Walmart is, you're going to still hear Walmart ad, you're going to still see a Walmart commercial, as big as they are, as big as Amazon is, because these folks understand out of sight, out of mind. You might be shopping at those places today, but when people stop talking about them or you stop seeing that logo somewhere, you're not going to think about Amazon. You just not going to think about it because the next new thing comes and then that thing fades away. So they understand in order for me to be relevant, in order for me to stay the big kid on the block and keep the little kids from coming up, I'm going to keep hosing you with Super Bowl ads, television ads, newspaper ads, you name it. I'm going to be in your face to remind you of that.
And spend a lot of money for marketing and advertising and campaigns.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely they do. But anyway, it's 9:09.
It's 9:09. Wow, that time went fast.
It did. It did.
We'll have to come back.
It says, Bronson, some people who look like us are haters and we should be lifting each other's up like you. I've worked hard all of my life since age 9, working in tobacco, picking cotton, picking cucumbers, and etc. I'm 66 years old and still working 2 jobs to keep what I have. Good stuff, Commissioner Harris. Good morning also to Mary and Helen. Some people look like us are haters. Yep. Whenever this administration creates laws, you can't believe that there are hidden agendas to destroy people's lifestyle. Absolutely. White people are afraid of being in the minority race. They are afraid of new majority. People of color will treat them like they try. That's absolutely the case as well. And I'm just trying to figure out where is there evidence that black people will treat white people harshly. I just have not seen evidence of black folks in leadership and say, let's put white folks in concentration camps. Let's enslave white. I just have never, I don't feel that way. I haven't been raised that way. And so I don't know where that thought comes from, but it's real. It is a real situation. It's a real fear. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then how do you disband that, right? I mean, you got people, and we definitely got to go. But You got people who are talking about President Barack Obama didn't do enough for black folks.
Yeah.
So he did more for white folks than he did for black folks, right?
I was gonna say that same point. Yeah.
Yeah, and so when people of color get into offices, oftentimes what black people say, man, you ain't no brother no more, or you ain't no sister no more. You with
Look
the
at
man.
Vice President Kamala Harris. They definitely question her culture.
And that's what happens. And so, but I will say this, that you cannot be in political office and truthfully serve folk if you don't have consideration of every group in your area,
Absolutely.
right? And especially in America right now, America is a majority white nation. So how can you not do things that's going to benefit a white populace? I mean, because if you are doing things just to invoke and breathe black culture or Asian American culture or whatever it is, then you got a majority of your nation who is also contributing to the economy, who's going to basically help you cripple your economy.
Yeah, because they don't spend. They don't shop. They don't spend. That's why they are billionaires. Look at the. I mean, they spend on some things. Don't get me wrong, but on the average, they don't spend money, and they don't buy the Jordans.
Oh, you saw for that nature.
They don't buy the PlayStations. They don't. I mean, those are the things that they could care less about. You know.
But while they don't buy Jordans, and some do, what they do is
they
go to
stop.
these. Not that, but they go to these expensive restaurants and spending $1,800 at a meal.
Oh, they love to eat now.
Right now. So I think the contribution to the economy is in different areas and in areas that sometimes we're not exposed to.
Yeah.
Look at how much money Jeff Bezos is spending at a wedding. What in the world is he doing at Martha's Vineyard and spending those millions of dollars on a so the contributions are in different sectors, and so that's what I think makes the economy works as well, because you've got this going, that going, and everybody's playing their part, right? So you got a tree but many branches, so to speak, right? And so if everybody did the same thing, it would be an oversaturation of that. It just wouldn't really make sense. But again, you go to some of these fancy restaurants and see where wealth spends their money.
They spend them there.
From wine collections to buying particular cars that normally you don't see, buying airplanes, so it's an aircraft. And thus, they got to send people to pilot school. And so there's this ecosystem that we live in. I think everybody has a part to play in, but too often.
But to your point, as to keeping the economy growing and to keep the economy growing, it's gonna take that. It's gonna take the everybody being able to have a living, a decent living.
Yeah,
it's gonna take that.
It will, and it does. But I think some people don't get it. So you rather say, let's put immigrants in the trash can over here. Let's put these folks over there, and we're gonna see how this thing works. And I think we kind of been there before.
Have we?
Sure. And I will say this, that Jordan Lake.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
You know, a thriving area of culture representation of black folk, right? And what they do, flood it out.
Mm-hmm.
Flood it out. When you think about Tulsa, flood it out. I mean, destroy red. I mean, so when you think about where black success happened in this country, there has been a continuation of killing it.
Yeah.
And so then you ask yourself, what is the benefit then for black people to be successful? Because what we have seen is that when there is black success, there's something that's going to tear it down. Whether it be Michael Vick and I've got a whole bunch of money and I fight some dogs, and so therefore my whole life is destroyed. Mm-hmm. Versus you can be somebody else and take billions of dollars and you're okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's worth talking about. I mean, I know we don't have much time, so I'm not going to get too much into it. But, I mean, that's worth talking about because, as you said earlier, you are here to provoke people to have a perception and to think. And when you put it that way, it's not a comparison situation. It's actually facts. Yeah. So you're not comparing it. It's a factual situation. When you look at black success and the continuing a legacy of Black success, what does that look like? And how do you continue the legacy of Black success when at some point it may look super well for a little while, and then all of a sudden you starting over. And that's one thing about it. We were talking about failure and starting over and learning the lessons, but how do you do that when it's when your adversary is coming against you and bringing you to that point of failure?
I can tell you this, this is why I'm anti-raising taxes. I think that, and unless it's with extreme reason, but sometimes Black folks have been put out of business because of ever-increasing taxes. Mm-hmm. Because you'll have a valuation of a building that you can no longer afford. So then you start not being able to maintain it. So then it becomes dilapidated. And then they come and say, well, now we're going to gentrify this community. And it has happened through a tool called taxation. And so that is why when I talk about political stuff and budgets, things that, I think at things, as I tell a barber who's cutting hair, mm-hmm. eventually you're going to have to charge people $100 a haircut in order to be able to take care of your property tax, your utility bills, just the cost of living. Because if we continue to work on things to bring cost of living up, it's going to cost everybody else just that much more. We really got to be focused on, again, I think, Parties, that more economists should be in political space. People who understands how economy works, how people who understand supply and demand, people who understand the economy of scales. And so they understand that with growth, we can help minimize cost. Thusly, we shouldn't pay people this much money because we're going to lower the cost of them living. How do we lower the cost of people living that wages are livable? Mm-hmm. What we're saying we want to do is we want to increase pay to a livable wage, and in the process of increasing pay to a livable wage, all you're doing is making it that much harder to live, mm-hmm. right? But we need to be figuring out how do we lower the cost on things so that therefore, through the economy of scales, through having targeted development and things of that nature, again, where the economy, I get why economists oftentimes are not in political space, because too often they're not personable individuals, because they're so data driven that those interpersonal skills that they need are not relatable to the average citizen. And so what does the average citizen want? I want somebody I can hug, I can kiss, I can call up and they can lie to me and all this kind of stuff. And then we figure out.
And it's hard for economists to lie, right?
All day long, because they're so stuck on facts and figures.
Because when you look at the data, you interpret the data, you can't lie about the numbers.
It is what it is. So I guess in my own little right, I'm a little economist at the end of the day, right? I'm a data driven. So, but that's where we are, and hopefully we'll get to somewhere. But anyway.
It's been real. Let's come back.
Well, I'm here every day. I don't know where you are. I'm here every day. Now I'll put this graphic up in closing. We'll see y'all on July the 12th. Of course, I'll see you tomorrow. But July the 12th at Pop's Diner. It's a meet and greet from 11:30 until 1:30 p.m. It's going to be chicken and waffles and some other breakfast sides. So we can call it a little brunch
Shrimp and grits got to be there.
We got a very simple menu.
Shrimp and grits. We got to, come on, people. Demand shrimp and grits.
And some that will be available that day there at 132 South Church Street, downtown Rocky Mount at Pop's Diner. And, of course, Pop's Diner is open today from 11 to 6 every Sunday through Friday. So come on out and dine with us, or dine with your family and friends, or just dine. How about that? At Pop's Diner, downtown Rocky Mount. So we'll see you.
Have a great day.